Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. When the start off, souls begin with praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kakodash. Double honors to the Apostle, great, most and honors to brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and sincerity. Yahweh's raw name of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His raw name is Yahweh, and his son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning the, and Shai meaning name. So Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. It's a real quick one. This is on the failure, right? The second largest failure of a bank since Washington. I forgot Washington something or other. Washington Wami, what the hell is that? Slovakia. It's literally had it just here. I forgot what it stands for. Slovakia. Washington Mutual, Slovakia. So my memory just escaped me there, right? But it's the second largest a failure since Washington a mutual failed, back in 2008. So is this the beginning of a run? We don't know. Is this the beginning of a series of failures? We don't know, but of course we hope. Right, of course we hope, because of the timing of this, especially, the season that we're in. So, let's see what the Lord has to do, rather will do in this particular situation, right? It says expect mass layoffs. Because at first, because it wasn't a bank that was, quite well known over here in the UK. And so when I heard it was going down, I was kind of like, whatever, I should have done more due diligence on that, right? Sort of like, there are certain household names that you hear. For instance, you hear Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, and another one. There are certain banks that are known or rather heard of over here in the UK, but SVB wasn't one of them. But come to find out, they had like 400 to 500, around about 400 billion-ish dollars worth of assets, right, that are basically now kaput, right? It says for most people in America, so it says for Zero Hedge, says expect mass layoffs, the real world impact of SVB's failure, right? It says the news that a bank in Silicon Valley has failed will be forgotten quicker than a story about soaring shoplifting in their local supermarket. It shouldn't. Right, it says reality is that the contagion of the shuttering of the 18th largest bank. Reuters earlier on said it was the 16th largest bank. So basically, not your top tier bank, but certainly something to of note. Okay. It says whenever a company stumbles, shareholder lawsuits become very common, as Bloomberg reports already this morning. Law firms, including Faruqi and Faruqi LLP, blah blah blah, to put out press releases saying they're looking into SVB and that investors who suffered losses as a bank share slumped can contact the firm's attorneys. So once again, the Hawks are coming, to try and get some money. It says, yeah, some people can't, do their payroll, right? It says expect mass layoffs later today, Monday at latest, and everything like that. So I don't know if that's in reference to the company, but they gave this example as another example of a firm directly impacted and its staff and clients comes from Parker Conrad, CEO of HR IT finance firm Rippling, facing payroll problems. So because of the person that kind of made me aware of this, once again, I had a bank account over there, and basically what had happened is literally the spirit, it was on ultimately the spirit, right? But the last week, he's in the truth, and he's been, well, obviously all of these things were, we were all controlled by the Most High, pursuant to Job, the 33rd chapter, 15th verse. Also, you got Proverbs, the man's goings of awe of the Lord. So basically, the Lord just put the spirit on them to just be like, yo, let me move most of my money out of this bank. Right, he moved, he moved serious money out of that bank, right? And then lo and behold, today it basically crashed, right? And then he was basically saying, wow, if basically if you have companies whose entire assets were in this particular bank, then what you're going to end up having is you're going to end up having people who basically their whole business is now gone, right? Um, and then that was it. So then it says uninsured depositors, yada yada yada. Okay. Um, then also I looked up some from Fortune. It says dated today. It says the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, in the UK. You've got FSCS, I believe it is in the UK. Just does a similar thing. FSCS only insures your money to around about. Let me just have a look for it. FSCS compensation limit, right? It's £85,000 per person. Okay, which for Jake, that's more than enough. Like, yo, 85 grand, yeah, so that will cover me. But we also got to remember that you've got a whole load of people, right? A whole load of Edomites that have significantly more money than this. This is like the amount that an Edomite will have for like their 10-year-old or some shit like that, right? I say that jokingly, but I did actually work with a guy who his 2-year-old had like 4 grand in the bank, and I had maybe a couple hundred, right? So let me actually look over this here and bring it into this screen. All of these bloody cookie pop-ups, right? It says if you hold money in a UK authorized bank, building sites, or credit union that fails will automatically compensate you up to £85,000 per eligible person per bank building society, right? So I'm not entirely sure whether this is per person or whether it's per person per bank, i.e., if one person has 5 banks, whether they're covered for each 80 up to 85,000 for each of those banks, right? Which if all of them fail, right, then of course the government ain't gonna be able to help everyone out ultimately. Okay, so that's that one. So I believe the FDIC do pretty much the same thing, right? But here's the thing, right? So the bank had $209 billion in assets and $175.4 billion in deposits, right? So if they gone broke, then they forget about that. Okay, it says the at the, as the, at the in deposits at the time of failure. The FDIC said in the statement it was unclear how much of deposits was above the $250,000 insurance limit at the moment. Right, so it's just a little bit more than the 85 grand that you get here in the UK. Right, so once again, basically, if you got more than that, then it means nothing, right? And ultimately, that's why, for instance, scriptures talk about not putting trust in uncertain riches, right? It's 1 Timothy 6:17. Charge them that are rich in this world that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God who giveth us richly all things to enjoy, right? Because here it is, you could have worked hard, because that would have happened to a Jake, right? You would have had a Jake. He just got his because tech companies in the US pay stupid money, right? He would have just got like his big check from one of the big tech firms, right? He's like, yo, this is good, right? Maybe half a mil, and then immediately, guess what? The bank collapsed, and now that's cut down to 250, right? A reminder also that this ain't our rest. This ain't the place where shit like this will just kind of work for us. Okay, yeah, you got certain of us that that will be all right, right? But this is an example of how all of that becomes an uncertain riches, because you may be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna move it to a well-known established bank like a Chase or something, right? And then let's say Chase then gets hit with some kind of crazy ass lawsuit or a cyber attack, and guess what? It all goes, right? Which is why one of my favorite precepts, right, just on general mindset, is Second Ezra the 16th chapter from the 40th verse on down, right? So my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth, right? Not getting too attached to anything, and ultimately anyone, right? But basically not getting attached to anything, right? And be ready at a moment's notice to just, to dip. Okay, verse 41, he that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth is one that will lose. He that occupieth merchandise as he that hath no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth as if he should not reap. So also he that planteth the vineyard as he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry as they that shall get no children, and they that marry not as the widows, right? And therefore they that labor in vain. Okay, so they say, these particular verses just is a good, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a good guideline. That's the word. It's a good guideline of, just a good way of just maneuvering in this world, because on we do have to maneuver in this world, right? But then this just helps to keep us in check, right? My Lord might bless you with a little business, right? You're able to make some cash, take care of yourself, take care of Akim, right? But then keeping in the back of your mind that, hey, what does it say there? He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, right? He is he that occupieth merchandise, is he that hath no profit but. So just understanding that any moment's notice, right, it could all go away, right? And once again, that key thing of basically not being too attached to any of these things. Okay, I'm just going to close with one last precept. Whereas Ecclesiastes 12:3 says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened," right? And those that look out the windows be darkened. It's talking about your financial forecasters, right? Because all of these things ultimately, we've kind of you watching your Max Kaisers and whatever financial forecaster is your favorite, right? We've kind of just been expecting these things for the last couple of years now, right? Like a major crash, but obviously everything happens in the Lord's time. Okay, we look at the certain state of assets, right, in the world. We spoke about it. The count spoke about it a few times in regards to just how obscene, for instance, the London property market is, where you'll see just a pretty average 3, 4, 5 bed house that's over £1 million. It's almost nothing for a house in London to be over £1 million. It's not back like back in the day. It was, oh, that house is £1 million. No, okay, cool. You walk past what looks like squalor, right? And obviously this is a bubble, right? We're just waiting for it to burst, right? So that's why ultimately, once again, considering the timing, right? Considering the timing, I didn't even know this. This was the address it. 300333. Who knows, right? Maybe looking too deep into it, but it is what it is. So I'm just looking at it here, right? 3333 at the back there. Okay. So hey, who knows? Considering the timing, considering the time of year that we're in for this to happen now, is the Lord sending a message? Is this a forewarning of things to come? Hey, Lord will, right? But just gonna close this one here. Give all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And until the next time, Lord's what I was edifying. Till next time, say Shalom.